So of course we are very happy to give the first demo for the UK, particularly for our customer also HBI. Yes, some extravaganza stuff around Easter. It will be very nice. And I will guide you through this webinar. I will make a lot of recipes together with you. We are here, of course, at Belcolade here in Belgium. We have a whole team of technical advisors that give support all over the world. Normally we travel around the world, but now it's not possible, I would say. So that's we do it now online. So we will make some very nice stuff, meaning some ganache, some caramel, some hazelnut fillings. We will even make like a small chocolate sculpture into chocolate. And at the end, I will also present you some recipe for a nice dessert, a hot cross dessert, and also the hot cross buns. So we will do many things. And please, if you have questions, do not hesitate them indeed during the webinar. Okay, so the first recipe, I hope you also receive all the recipe up front. Then it's also a little bit more easy to follow. And I will guide you through the most important steps to achieving some real nice combinations and creations. So the first recipe that I will talk about is the Easter Mocktail Bar. It's the one with the colorful cocoa pots on top. Okay. If you don't have the recipe in front of you, it's not really a big issue. I will use the same amount. The recipes are correct. So please, there is not a big problem if I don't say an amount of an ingredient, for example. Yes, so first of all, what we will do, I will make a bar. So this one, and you will see it is built up in different recipes. So first we have a praline bar, and on the top we have some filled chocolate items. And I will make now the praline filling, which is on the bottom. And then afterwards, I will also make a nice ganache, which is then on the top inside of these chocolate cocoa pots. It's also a creative recipe for Easter. If you don't want to make it like this later, for example, you can always separate the recipes, because I give you 4 recipes for fruity ganache, and I give you also a recipe for a praline filling that you can also make easily separate. It's not a big problem. So when we will make a praline filling, what you need to take in account. So first of all, I'm using, of course, a praline hazelnut, and this praline hazelnut is one at 59%. So that means that you have 59% of nut and the rest is sugar. Okay, we of course have it from our brand Pâtis France that we have in France, of course, in Charmes, and it's our facility where all the pralines are made. So when you make a praline filling, use a praline. What I also do, I add some extra hazelnut paste. On the recipe, it's mentioned Pralirex, but it is a pure hazelnut paste. So that means it's roasted hazelnut mixed into a liquid paste. And I add it because it will make my composition also a little bit less sweet. So just add it. And then very important, of course, in chocolate making, you always need to respect the temperature. If you don't know the right temperature, then you don't know what you're doing. And chocolate needs to be tempered. So that means when we make a filling with chocolate inside, all the time we need to check the temperature. And a praline filling always needs to be at 26 degrees centigrade. So that means now I take the temperature of the praline. It's 18 degrees. So I do it because I know it's a bit cold now today. And what I do, I will heat up my praline just like 30 seconds at medium speed in a microwave to obtain a praline of 25 degrees approximately. And then I will add also some tempered chocolate. And when I mix this, my temperature should be around 26 degrees. So to add the cocoa butter, it's melted at 40 degrees centigrade. And then I will also add dark and milk chocolate, but those are tempered. And today the references I use for the chocolate is the Belcolade Selection Noire. It's a 55% dark chocolate and it's also Cacao Trace certified. And I will also add in this recipe the Belcolade Selection Lait. It's a milk chocolate of 34%, and it's also Cacao Trace certified. So all the chocolates we use nowadays in Belcolade, they are under the label of Cacao Trace, and that means it's our sustainable program. It's our sustainable chocolates. So I have here my 20 gram of melted cocoa butter. It's just melted to 40 degrees centigrade, and I will pour it in my plastic container. It's also a reason why I put first the cocoa butter and then the chocolate, because the chocolate is melted and tempered. That means when I put the tempered chocolate in a cold plastic bowl, it will start to set like very fast. And that's why I put first some warm cocoa butter to heat up my plastic bowl before I put the tempered chocolate. So the tempered chocolate I have here, I need 70 grams of the dark chocolate, the Sélection Noire, the 55%, and 200 grams of the Sélection Lait. Voila, that's just enough. You can bring me a bit more. So before I put this chocolate mixture into the praline, I mix it. So very easy. Making a praline filling is not so complex, but you need to just respect the temperature, of course. So now this chocolate mixture is nicely homogeneous, and now it's ready to put on top of the praline. And you simply mix everything together. Voila. And then this filling should be around 26 degrees, which is perfect to use. So we temper this a little bit more cold because it contains a lot of oil coming from the hazelnuts in this filling. And when a filling contains a lot of oil, you need to temper it very, very cold, because then the setting is much more fast. And then you also avoid, of course, fat blooming afterwards of your filling. So please do take this into account. So just to check, I check the temperature, and you see it's 25.8, so it's 26. This is my basic filling of a praline. What I do also today to make it a bit more crunchy, I add some crispy wafers, like in the chocolate making, we call it feuilletine. It's crispy wafers. I also put some rice puffs, the smaller one, and to give a nice, I would say, summer feeling, because Easter, we start to think about the summer and the nice flowers and the birds, I would say. I also add a refreshing touch. It's not necessary. It's something extra, but I like it. It's a freeze-dried yuzu powder, and it gives really an intense citrus flavor to my praline filling, which is pleasant because praline, most of the time, it's more like a warm flavor because you can add like coffee, for example, caramel, other type of nut to make it more crunchy, to have a lot of texture. But you can also add some fruity flavors, easily like a fruit powder, which I use today, the yuzu one. Voila. So this one is finished. And now I will put also this filling into a frame. So I have these frames, but you can also have one frame, because these are separate frame, but you can also have one frame, for example. And the one I'm using here is 15 millimeters high, so 1.5 centimeter high. And what I will do first, because later we will enrobe it also with an enrobing belt or even with a fork, it's possible. But when you only have the filling touching the enrobing belt, it can melt a little bit, and it can stick to the belt. So that's why we do a very thin layer of chocolate first on a piece of baking paper. It's also tempered. You can choose between dark milk and even white. It's depending what you will use after for enrobing these bars. So it depends the chocolate you will use. So I will enrobe it afterwards with milk chocolate. I put my frames on top. And then when the chocolate starts to set, so when it's dry, it doesn't need to crystallize for a long time, but when it's dry, you can pour over the praline filling that we just made. And now it's the moment. Voila. So in the recipe, it's mentioned praline. It's you have different types of praline. You have 50% praline, you have 59, you even have 70%, so it's less sweet. So it doesn't really matter what praline you are using, but you will use the same amount of chocolate that you will add. And of course, also the temperature of the filling needs to be always 26 degrees. So I spread out this filling evenly in this frame. And then it's ready to go into a fridge. So when we are working in a workshop for chocolatier, so fridge temperature, when we put a ganache or a filling into a fridge, we always talk about 16 degrees centigrade. So not too cold, because a very cold fridge can give problem with the humidity. And that's why we put everything, or we keep everything at 16 degrees. However, when we make a praline filling like this, when I say it needs to set very fast, I always put praline filling just 5 minutes in a fridge of 5 degrees, not longer. And when it's set, you can take it out immediately. So don't keep it too long, because the praline filling will become very hard to cut and also too cold. And you can also have an issue with humidity. So now it's ready to go into a fridge of 5 degrees centigrade, just for about maximum 5 minutes. When it's set, you take it out at room temperature, and then we can cut it with a guitar. So this filling, it's crunchy, it's crispy, and it's still cuttable with the guitar. So that means don't put too much big pieces, like big chunks of nuts or caramel, for example, because then when you cut it with a guitar, it's very difficult. Okay, these are bars. It's more bigger. You can always cut them with a knife, but if you want to make a small item, 2 by 2 centimeters, for example, I would not do that. Well, this can go into the fridge. You can still hear me, Joe?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you still see me on 2 screens?
A moment ago, I could see you on 2 screens. I'm not sure if it's 2 screens at the moment.
Yeah, because I only see one now from my side.
It was 2 screens, but
Yeah.
I can only see one now.
Yeah, but maybe my colleague, he will put it again back to work. It's strange, but it went automatically off.
Yeah.
But when you have me, yeah, I'm back again. Maybe there was a small problem with the connection.
Yeah. So it's great. Yeah, we can see you, and then we've got the close-up screen as well.
Yeah. So we always need a plan B in Belgium. We always need a backup. Hey, so when the praline bars are coming out of the fridge, immediately you can cut them with a guitar into the size that you like, and then this will be the inside of the chocolate bar, which I made up front. You see. What we will do now we will make the filling of the yellow cocoa pot. It's a fruity ganache. It's some recipes that we have developed a few months ago, and you are very soft. You are very nice. The mouth feeling is very pleasant, and we have like 23% of fruit juice inside. So it's very fruity. The shelf life is also 6 weeks, so it's long. We have really a nice balanced recipe that I can share with you. And of course, it's not only one recipe, because this one we make with passion fruit, but you can also replace the amount of fruit by another liquid fruit, like pineapple, lime, for example, even strawberry, it's possible. So please, when we give you a recipe, you can do much more with this one. So for this ganache, what do we need? Of course, the passion fruit juice. And the recipes I prepared in advance, it's with passion fruit, but I always like to try things out also. And like an online webinar, it's also a good moment, I would say, some things to try. So I changed the passion fruit here with pineapple juice, just to see what is the flavor. But I will guarantee you it will be also very nice. And that's also the easy thing about these recipes that I give to you. So we have 230 grams of the passion fruit normally, and I just replaced it one-on-one with pineapple juice. What do I have also? I have our Sélection Blanc. It's a white chocolate with a 30% cocoa butter. I will add some extra cocoa butter to make my recipe a bit less sweet. I also have some sorbitol. We always add like 3% sorbitol on the total recipe. It will make your ganache long lasting, so it will make a much better shelf life. So we will add it with the pineapple juice. And I also have some glucose. And the glucose will make your ganache also like very soft to eat, but it will also make sure that your ganache is a little easy to pipe afterwards in a mold. So in general, when we make a ganache for molding, we add, of course, some sorbitol and also some glucose, because your ganache will be much more liquid and more, I would say, more even on the edge after you pipe it. So when you use inverted sugar, for example, to a ganache, in general, we put this for cutting ganache, and it will give a lot more texture also. But it's too hard to pipe afterwards with inverted sugar. So that's why in general, we use glucose for piping ganache, piped ganache. So we put everything together. What I also do with these recipes, especially with white chocolate, because you have a lot of volume of white chocolate, I put them also 30 seconds into the microwave, because now here it's 18 degrees, it's cold. Now you see my chocolate is 18 degrees, it's 17.9. So it's cold. So I also put it into the microwave just 30 seconds to remove the cold from the chocolate. Also it's an Easter mocktail. So that means you can also add some fresh mint, for example, which is also mentioned, like 5 grams. I will pick some mint from my garden here. It's really nice. It's organic mint, of course. And I add also this to my mixture of the pineapple. And that's why we have call it a mocktail. It's like a fruity cocktail with nice combination, but with, of course, without alcohol. So the children can eat. Voila. So we make a very short infusion with the mint. And then basically what we will do when we have our warm substance with the passion fruit or the pineapple juice here in this case, and the sugars, we just pour it on top of the chocolate and we start to mix with a spatula. So the mint here gives a really fresh extra taste, a fresh mouthfeel to the ganache, which is very nice. We just boil it. That's enough. And then we pour it on top on the ganache, on the chocolates. So also here, the chocolate I have, it's the Sélection Blanc. It's a white chocolate from Belcolade, and also this one is Cookware Trace certified. So again, sustainable chocolates. So you can maybe say white chocolates, how can it be sustainable? Of course, we use from the cocoa bean also the cocoa butter to make the white chocolate, and the cocoa butter that we use in the white chocolate is from a sustainable source. So I sieve out here the mint, but you will see me doing something very strange. I all the time sieve out like basil also. When I make an infusion with basil, for example, I sieve it out, but then I put always back a few leaves because it gives you some green dots also in your ganache filling, which is very nice. It doesn't matter for the shelf life. It is a well-balanced recipe. So when you have some mint leaves or basil leaves in your ganache, the shelf life stays the same. But if you put everything back, it's a little bit too much. And that's why I always just take a few leaves and put them back into my composition. Voilà, really press it out very good. Then you don't lose any taste or flavor.
Michel, we have a question that's come in.
Yes.
What would the shelf life be of the mocktail chocolate?
It's also 6 weeks. And so the praline filling, the bar, separate from the ganache, it has a shelf life of minimum 3 months. Then you need to take into account how you store it. But we always store chocolates at 16, maximum 18 degrees centigrade. But the ganache I make now, it's a shelf life of 6 weeks.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yep.
You're welcome.
I can't actually see who's written that. So if you've got any more questions to that person, please do just put them in. Thank you very much, Michel.
Okay. And so 6 week shelf life, it's normally, I would say, long enough for ganache fillings. When you're working in a production facility with a longer shelf life needed, for example, there it's always better to work with the fat-based fillings, for example, where you will add some aromas, a natural aroma, for example, is possible. You can always add some alcohol to a ganache. So that means when you have a 6 week shelf life ganache, like I'm making now, and I add on top of that 1% of pure alcohol in my ganache, it will give you also a shelf life of 4 months, because the pure alcohol will clean a bit the ganache, I would say, and it will also extend the shelf life. So when you add 1% of pure alcohol on top of this recipe, it gives you, instead of 6 weeks, it will give you 6 months, 4 months shelf life. Voila. So I still have some lumps, but that's okay. That's fine. It's also a good sign. I heat it up just 20 seconds. And we will start to mix this ganache. It's also important to mix a ganache. Then everything is like smooth and homogeneous. And also the fat particle of the chocolate and the butter is more homogeneous. Voilà. And I also use a good immersion blender. So basically, I do not melt my chocolate up front to make a ganache, because I also want to achieve a ganache with a good crystallization. So that means here we don't melt completely the chocolate that I'm using. It is in drops. And here at Belcolade, of course, we will temper the chocolates to have these nice coins of chocolate that we're selling to you, but they are tempered. And I would like to keep this good crystallization. And that's why I pour my liquid warm on top of the chocolate coins. And then I managed to stay below 38 degrees centigrade with the ganache. And this is the maximum temperature to keep the good crystal that we have put up front here at Belcolade. So a good immersion blender, try to have a big enough one, because when you're using a small, it will heat up very fast, and it's not so good, of course. And what I also try, it's very important, so I did not incorporate air bubble. So when you mix, always try to learn to use your own mixer on the way. I use mine always like in an angle, and in this way I know it is not incorporating air bubbles, okay? Because that's also not good for the shelf life. Voila. So this is the ganache today with pineapple and mint. So one of my mocktail ganache recipes. I will check also the temperature. So it's at 30 degrees, which is not bad. But when we are using a white chocolate shell, my ganache needs to be at 28 degrees maximum. And then I can pipe this into the pre-molded shell, which I will also show to you. Voila. So I'll put this filling into a piping bag. Voila. So these cocoa pots, I already colored them before. You see, it's nice and shiny in yellow. And the cocoa butter I use is pure cocoa butter, where I put 10% of coloring in powder. Okay, and it's fat soluble one. 10 grams per 100 grams of cocoa butter. We mix this one. So the cocoa butter is 45 degrees. We add the color, we mix it, and then I temper it also to 30 degrees. Okay, so it's like this. We temper it to 30 degrees, and then I can spray it into my mold, and the mold needs to be at 20 degrees. And that is the perfect situation. You spray it inside with a spray gun, and then you need to wait 2 hours before you put tempered chocolates. And then you have a good crystallized cocoa butter. And then with the chocolate on top, it will make a good attachment. And it's also a nice appearance. So 30 degrees for the tempered cocoa butter and the mold 20 degrees. So when I count these two numbers together, 30 and 20, it's 50. So you can play with your mold, the temperature of the mold between 18 degrees minimum and 22 maximum. And you need to go to 50 degrees. So that means 18 to reach 50 is 32. So your cocoa butter needs to be at 32. Okay, so 18, 32. When your mold is 22 degrees, to reach 50, it is 28. So you make your cocoa butter more cold because the mold is more warm, and then it's 28 degrees. And you can play between that 18 to 22 degrees, and then you adapt the temperature of the colored cocoa butter. But the best ideal circumstance is 20 degrees for the mold, 30 degrees for the cocoa butter. So in the meanwhile, Jeffrey, can you take some clips to put in these holes, please? Yeah. So I have a good friendly colleague here who is helping me, of course. Jeffrey, he also gives tomorrow a very nice online webinar also at 12 o'clock Belgium time. And he will make some more chocolate sculptures. You can find this on our Puratos.com website. You type in the search bar live demo and you will find the agenda. And tomorrow it's Jeffrey who will show to you some more Easter figures. So in the meanwhile, my ganache is cooled down. And I pipe this into this pre-molded shell. And you see, my ganache, it's liquid. I don't make like a special movement, but it comes like flat automatically. Okay. I overfill them a little bit. So that means I put a bit too much, so I cannot close them anymore later on, because this is a cocoa pot with two halves, and I will stick them immediately together after I fill them with the ganache. And then the two parts of the ganache, it will start to stick together, and it will keep the cocoa pots together. Okay. So normally I will put a little less because I need to close it afterwards with tempered chocolate. But here I just fill it up to the edge, and I will close them immediately. Voila. So I have my two molds of the cocoa pot. I have two metal clips to keep them together. And what I do, because my ganache is really liquid, I do it fast. So don't do it too slow, or you will have a bad result. Voila. Like this. Then I will put them into the fridge of 16 degrees, and I will keep them there until tomorrow. Okay, because the ganache always needs time to set. It takes 12 hours, but in general, a chocolatier make today is filling. You fill it into the shells, and then he will demold it tomorrow. Okay, so this go into a fridge of 16 degrees until tomorrow, and then you can simply remove these metal clips, and you can demold these nice cocoa pots, and then you will have all these separate cocoa pots like I have here to later to decorate this chocolate bar. So in the meanwhile, also this has been into the fridge, the praline filling. So you can remove the frames with a knife, and then basically we will also cut it with a guitar. Voilà. So you cut it with a guitar like you wish. I made like bars of 2.5 centimeters by 11, because I think it's a nice size for a bar, but it's up to you. If you would like to make it smaller or bigger, it's your choice. So basically what we do also with this one, so we enrobe it with chocolate, dark or milk, and then we put really just after the enrobing, we put these colored cocoa pots on top, and I have decorated with some chocolate sticks. Okay, so that's easy to do, and it's a very nice Easter idea. But again, like I told you in the beginning, you can just separate these recipes from each other and make them per piece. But here it's a nice combination of a fruity yuzu praline with some nice and fruity ganaches, which is then the Easter Mocktail Praline Bar. So we will go over to the next recipe. For this one, I have made for you a caramel bar, because caramel is still a very important category of taste. People like chocolate, but people also like caramel, and that's why you always need in your shop a good caramel recipe.
Please do feel free to ask questions
Yep.
all the way through, as opposed to at the end, using the Q&A typed box at the bottom. Thank you.
Yes, but when there are no questions, I think it's very clear, but please do not hesitate to ask questions during this session.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for the Praline bar, the caramel bar, I made some fancy one, I would say, which I've colored with a pencil, with a brush, with green colored cocoa butter. I spray a small dark line, and then afterwards I spray yellow colored cocoa butter. But you can also make them more easily by just putting in some lines. And like here, I did the molding with the white chocolate, and then I make 2 lines with our amber chocolate and also with milk chocolate, and it gives like a hot cross chocolate bar like this. And we will fill it up today with a very nice caramel recipe. It's a semi-liquid one. That means when you break the bar in 2, it will not come out like very liquid. It's a bit sticky, but the taste is very, very good of this one. So what we will do, I have here my cream, of course. With some salt, I put the salt inside the cream, like this. And then we will also make a caramel with the sugar. We will make a dry caramel. With only the sugar. And to make it a bit more easy, I add also a small amount of water so that the sugar does not burn too easily. Okay, it's just a little bit. And what we need to do when we have a caramel, of course, we cannot just take it from the heating because it will start to caramelize more further. So what I also do, I will put the cream into the microwave to deglaze afterwards my sugar, which is turned into a caramel. Voila. Besides that, to make the caramel a bit more sticky, what I also do is we add some chocolate. And the chocolate we use today is the Belcolade Selectio Amber. It's like a white chocolate, of course, but we also have the caramelization process into this one with the milk powder, and that gives us like a very nice milky chocolate with a lot of caramel flavor already inside, which is really nice. So to balance my recipe, I also put a bit of cocoa butter. And the glucose, it's also mentioned in the recipe. I put a little bit of glucose also in my cream. Well, so the cream is warm now. And as you can see, it starts to thicken a bit, the sugar. Soon it will start to caramelize also. And then it's the moment to start add the cream. Well, you don't really need to mix. When you mix too much, it cools the sugar down. It's not necessary. You can also have a sandy texture. So when it's not really like burning, or you don't have lumps, you don't really need to mix it. You just need a little bit of patience. So the glucose goes into the cream. As you can see now, the sugar is starting to caramelize. It starts to smoke. So I lower now the heating. And then I make myself ready also to start adding the cream. It's a small recipe. I add the cream like almost in one time, But please, when you have a bigger recipe to make from this one, pay attention. You have a good enough a big bowl that it doesn't overcook. So please pay attention. It can be a bit dangerous. So now I start to add my cream. As you can see, a lot of smoke is coming out, a lot of humidity, but it's also warm. So pay attention that you don't burn yourself or somebody else. Voila. So I empty everything. So I have a homogeneous caramel, which I can also now add on top of my chocolate. Again, it's not melted. It's just the Selection Amber chocolate, cacao trace. And we basically mix now everything together. I also put a little bit of butter, some extra butter. That gives you a nice pleasant mouth feeling also. And the taste profile of the amber chocolate, it's really amazing. So we have then the caramelization from the milk, but inside we also have some whey powder. You can look it up on the technical data sheet. But the whey powder gives also a nice salty flavor to this caramel chocolate, which is completely natural. So it's really a nice chocolate to use. You can use it for molding, like figures that we will do also. You temper it like a white chocolate, 28 degrees, even a bit more colder. We have some butter inside also in this amber chocolate. So it's really an amazing tasting white caramel chocolate.
I've got a couple of questions for you, Michel.
Yes.
Someone sent one in about 5 minutes ago saying they are interested in molds with clips. Where are they from?
Yes, so the molds I'm using here, I use from one brand. You can also use others, but I buy them at Chocolate World. And that's in Belgium, of course, in Antwerp. And you can find them also online. So you pay with your credit cards and they send everything what you have paid. So chocolateworld.be.
Perfect.
I think it's .be, but please don't shoot me. It can also be .com.
Perfect.
Chocolate World.
Brilliant. Yep. I'm sure people will be able to find that. And then another question is there a set temperature for your caramel?
The temperature of what, Joe?
Is there a set temperature for your caramel?
Yeah. Indeed. So this is more like a ganache caramel, because we also have again some chocolate inside. So this caramel also, before I put it into my mold, it's also at 28 degrees because I'm using a white chocolate shell. But a setting point, it's not really there, because it's like really a ganache. It's not like a hard caramel that I'm making. But yes, when it's at 16 degrees, for example, this ganache is also set. This caramel is set, and when you break the bar, it will be a bit sticky. I might guess also that it will be able to cut with the guitar also, but it's not like a traditional caramel. It's more a ganache caramel. So there's not really like a set of the set point of this filling.
Okay, that's perfect. A comment from Steve Calver, who obviously works for Henley.
Hi, Steve.
He has said the molds can be bought from Vantage House in Brighton.
Okay.
Yeah, so quick Google there, or I'm sure Steve would be able to give people the details if they wanted it. And then there's another question. Have you any suggestions for a filling for amber chocolate?
Yes, so that means a combination?
It doesn't state, so just your thoughts on a good filling. So maybe single flavor or a mix of flavors.
Yeah, And so this is already like one single flavor, because we make like with amber chocolate caramel ganache. Basically, I do not recommend to make, for example, a fruity ganache with amber, because the two flavors together in a ganache is a bit strange. But you can add, for example, coffee, even tea you can add also. Citrus goes very well also. So you can make like a basic recipe of a ganache with amber. You can add any type of citrus peel, even like orange, lime, lemon, kombava or yuzu. It's going very well, but not like red fruits, for example. You can combine any type of nuts with amber chocolate also. So you can combine many things, even like a balsamic vinegar. It's also very nice, but I would stay away a bit from the refreshing herbs like mint, also basil. I think it's a bit strange with amber, and also the red fruit in the ganache together. Of course, when you combine like in a cake, I would say a creamy of raspberry with a mousse of amber, that is working well, but I would not put them together in a ganache recipe. So everything goes except red fruit ganache with amber and refreshing herbs. But you can put rosemary, for example, that's also possible, but stay away from the mint with amber and the red fruits. But all the rest, no problem.
Perfect. A little bit of a follow on from the same person who asked, which was, if you're using amber in a mold as the couverture, then what would you think of as a filling for that, for amber as couverture?
Can you repeat that last part, Joe?
So if amber chocolate is being used as the shell for a chocolate, what would you suggest then for a filling, for a filled chocolate there with amber?
Yeah, okay. So when you have, for example, the shell made out of amber, logically we stay a bit in the same family, and we use also amber for a ganache, but it's not mandatory. If you would like to make a dark ganache with tea, it's possible to put in the shell. You can make even a milk chocolate ganache with coffee. It fits very well. A white chocolate ganache with vanilla. And so again, the color of the chocolate that you're using inside as a filling is not really playing a very important role. I mean, it fits, you can do it, but again, don't stay with these mint flavor, for example, and also the red fruit. I would avoid a bit of that. But for the rest, there is not really a thing that I don't recommend to use with amber. It's a very versatile chocolate that you can buy with many flavors, ingredients, and textures. But just I would say stay away a bit from the red fruits and the mint. Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. There's another question that I don't know whether Steve Calver might be able to help answer. Someone has come on and said, can we buy pure alcohol in the UK, or is there a substitute?
Yeah. So it needs to be pure alcohol and also drinkable alcohol. So in Belgium, we just can buy it in the supermarket, because we are all, I would say, we have a problem at home sometimes. We like to drink some alcohol. But yes, indeed, in some countries, it's a bit more hard to get, because they would like to avoid that people take abuse out of pure alcohol, of course. But logically, you should be able to have it even via a pharmacy. You can have it, and it needs to be a drinkable alcohol. Of course, when you don't have pure alcohol, for example, and you would like to add alcohol for a better shelf life for your ganache, and so I use 1% of pure alcohol, so it's pure. But for example, when you use like a vodka or even a tequila of 50 or 60%, you can add like 2%. So you will add more alcohol with the quantity, but at the end you will also have the same results. But what we also figured out, when you start to put more than 1%, you also will have the taste. So that means for a longer shelf life, and you will start to add 2-3% of vodka or tequila or even rum, you will also have the taste, the shelf life. And if the taste doesn't matter, it's okay. But if you just want to have a long shelf life without the taste of the alcohol that you're adding, you should ask maybe via a pharmacy to buy pure drinkable alcohol, and also explain why you need it. Because I think the problem why you don't get it, it's also because of the tax. In Belgium also we are taxed on booze, I would say, on alcohol, but not on pure alcohol, because it's less taxed because you cannot drink it. It's very it will burn your inside of your body, but we can still have it just in a supermarket, and it costs a 40 euro a liter, so it's not so expensive. In the meanwhile, my caramel filling is a bit cooled down, so it's also now at 28 degrees, and I will also now pipe it into my pre-molded shell, and then we leave this also to set until tomorrow, and then we can also close it with a tempered chocolate. So as you can see now, the piping, it's a bit stiff because of course we add butter and everything, but a caramel, it will take a few minutes and it will put himself also like flat on the surface, and then you can also easily close it the day after. Voilà. And this is a really nice caramel bar. So also later, this is just an idea. If you would like to add some orange peel, for example, to the caramel, it's very nice. Here also on top, you can put some salted peanut, for example, to have a bit more extra texture. So again, when we give you a recipe, just use it at your own way, make your own creation, and give your own touch. Huh? And that's how you also differentiate from your competition or from your colleague just around the corner. Voila. So this now.
Can I just ask a question that's come in? Would the shelf life of this caramel you are making also be around 6 weeks?
Yes. So a caramel, it's the shelf life is longer, and it's also all the time. I mention it below the picture on the recipe sheet. And so this caramel has a shelf life of 10 weeks. Again, when we store it at 18 degrees, and the humidity, it's also important. So for all chocolate making, you need to be sure that the environment where you're working in, and also like a fridge and everything what you have, that the relative humidity is below 60%. But this caramel, it stays without any issue, good for 10 weeks. So that's more than 2 months and a half. Huh? Okay.
And someone has asked, will adding peanuts affect shelf life?
No. With this caramel, no. I would not do it in a ganache, but with this caramel, the water activity is very low, so it will not damage the shelf life when you add like salted peanut, for example. No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, and just a comment from Steve Calver regarding the alcohol topic that was discussed a moment ago. Pure alcohol is available in the UK, and you can claim the duty back when used in a recipe.
Ah, voila.
There you go, learn a new thing every day.
But that will bring us also to the next recipe, because in the next recipe, I also use pure alcohol. If you would like to make your own eggnog, and that's also the reason why we can still find it easily in Belgium in a supermarket, because a lot of people still make their own eggnog. So the liquor with condensed milk and egg yolk and sugar and alcohol. If we would not make this anymore in Belgium, I'm pretty sure you will not be able to find the pure alcohol in the supermarket. But still today, it's possible. So for the next recipe, I will make for you an eggnog Easter nest. And basically, what I have done also, I made first a praline filling, because, okay, we have to admit, everybody like to see special thing on television to make nice combination, but at the end, the consumer, they always like a good quality basic flavor, and that's why for this recipe also I have made for my base a praline filling with some crispy texture. It's basically the same like I use in the beginning, but I did not put here some yuzu powder. But what you can do, You can always add some soluble coffee powder, for example, into the praline filling. I put this into a disc mold. I remove it after crystallization. I enrobe it. I decorate with some chocolate sticks to create like a bird nest. And then on top of that, I put some eggnog filled Easter eggs. And the eggnog, I also add some chocolate, some cream to make like a ganache. And that is what I will show you now to make an eggnog ganache or a filling. So when you give this to your children at the evening, they will sleep very good, and then you can have some special time with your wife or your partner. So it's a gift for the children, but also for the parents. Okay. So for this recipe again, when you want to make your own eggnog, in Belgium we make it, but we also have a few good brands who are making this. It's Philips, and normally they are producer of Genever. It's like a drink that people like to drink also during winter time. But what we will do normally for making eggnog, we have pure egg yolk, where we will add some sugar and some concentrated milk, the sweet one. We will heat this up to about 60 degrees. We will add the alcohol. It's in this case pure alcohol and a little bit of Cointreau also. It's mentioned in the recipe. You heat it up to 80 degrees to have a thick consistency, and then you cover it with cling film and you leave it to cool down. And that's how we make eggnog. So in the recipe, it's mentioned Cointreau, but that also means that you can replace this amount of alcohol by even a whiskey, for example, a scotch, whatever you like, and you will have different type of eggnog. Even be my guest, if you would like to make this eggnog just separate, you put this into a nice container. You can also sell it like this, real Belgian eggnog. But of course, when you would like to make this into a filling, I don't put it pure, but I also add some cream with the eggnog, some melted chocolate, some cocoa butter to make my filling a bit more stable and less, I would say, less strong in alcohol. Okay. So what we will do a bit the same. I have my Sélection Blanc, the white chocolate with the cocoa butter. What I will heat up a little bit to remove the colds. I also have some cream, a little bit. The cream that you are using is animal cream. It's 35% fat. So it's also important that you use the same type of cream to have at the end also the same consistency of the filling. So the cream, the fat content, 35%, also play an important role. Voilà. We will warm back it now. It's a small recipe. So what I will do, I will put my cream on top.
Can I just ask, if 100% alcohol is hard to find?
Yes.
If 100% alcohol is hard to find, use, right. If 100% alcohol is hard to find, and you were to use 70 to 80% alcohol, but add a little more, would that be okay?
Yes, that's possible. But when it's lower than 80%, I would say you have to adapt the recipe too much because you use a lot of liquid then at the end. But if you have one of 80%, you can easily calculate to reach at the same amount of alcohol at the end, but you can add it, and then you can add a bit more. That's true. So you need to add about 20% more in your recipe then, when you have an alcohol of 80%.
Brilliant. Some nice feedback for you here. Really enjoying the recipes. Somebody thanking you, but also a question: what type of gloves are you wearing?
What type of gloves? It's black gloves, bought on Black Friday. No, it's not true. It's just it's the gloves that we have normally in white or blue. Yeah. And you can also order them black color, you see.
Yep, perfect.
But it's nice because when you use colors, for example, especially on a demonstration or when you have a workshop that people see you working, when you have colors, even with white gloves, it starts to be dirty with the colors, but with the black glove, it's less visual. So it's a bit more pleasant, I would say, to wear.
And it's
also a bit trendy, so people like to see it. It's a bit more trendy also.
Perfect. Thank you.
So now here I just mix everything together. So it's melted. Voila. I just reach. I will check the temperature. It is 40 degrees. Voila. We melt everything together. I mix. And also I will put the eggnog inside. And then we just basically blend it to have an homogeneous texture. And then this filling is also ready to use. So it's really a nice one, this one also. Especially when you have the praline base on the bottom with some coffee powder. It's also a really nice combination. But it's not mentioned in the recipe, but please be my guest. So here we see the fat coming out a little bit. It's from the cocoa butter and also the normal butter, okay? But that's not a problem. We make an emulsion with a blender. And then this ganache is also ready to use.
I have another question for you.
Yep. Yep.
Can you please suggest a ganache recipe using 55% kosher Belcolade?
Yep. Wait a second. Yep. Let me check my recipes, the one I'm having now, because today I'm not making a dark ganache. That's true. What I can recommend, because we have a lot of recipes available, even online. And for this question, maybe Joe, I might ask maybe the customer to send over his email, and I will send them some separate recipes, some basic recipes to be very inspirational with. But if they say kosher chocolate, 55%. The kosher for us, it's of course the label, but recipe-wise, it's the same. So when you use a ganache recipe of the Belcolade Sélection Noire 55 normal, you can use it for the same chocolates, Cocoa Trace certified, the 55%, but also the kosher 55%. So that doesn't really matter. But please, the customer who asked this question, maybe leave your email address, and I will send you some other recipes to make a dark chocolate ganache.
Perfect. So the person that sent that, if you want to just drop your email address down, I'll make a note of it now, and then I will send it on to Michel.
Yes, please.
I believe a moment ago somebody else asked a question, and I'm not quite sure where it's gone. So I think the question was, where are your recipes, or where are there some more recipes? So you mentioned about the website. There are recipes on there that people can see through the Puratos website, correct?
Yes. So we have, like, each 2 weeks we have live demonstrations that we give all the time at 12 o'clock Belgian time. So it's 11 in UK. And you find this agenda back at puratos.com. And then the most easy way to find it back is there is a search box, and there you type in Belcolade live demo. And then you will click on the page where it refers you to, and you will see the complete agenda of the upcoming demonstration. But there is also a part where you can find back all the recipes that we have shown before, and also the videos. So you can rewatch it. You can download the recipe. It's free access, no subscription, anything. So it's there. What you can also do, you can go to belcolade.com. It's also a website that we have. And there you can go to the section recipes. And then you come to the section inspirational recipe, basic recipe, and just click on these icons and it will guide you through all our recipe database. And it's also there, free to download. And there are a lot of recipes that can help you.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. I've got the email address, so I'll put it on a separate mail to you.
Yes, please. Voila. So my Eggnog Ganache is also now finished. So what I will do, I will fill it up basically like the same way I did with these cocoa pots. So I will overfill them just a little bit, and then I will stick them also together. And then the ganache keeps the two parts together. Huh? Of course, when you are in a production, I would say, when you are not so sensitive with these finished goods, I would recommend to just fill them like normal. And then when you close them with tempered chocolates, stick them together like that, like the traditional way, because this is indeed a little bit more, I would say, sensitive, but it works. Eh? A lot of industry is doing it also, but normally an artisan chocolatier, most of the time he closes them with tempered chocolates and then they stick them together. But you can do it like I do also with the filling. So as you can see also the viscosity of this ganache, it's also nice and liquid, the Eggnog Ganache. And then later on when it's set, like tomorrow, when you eat it, it's a soft texture. It's really pleasant, a pleasant mouthfeel. Voilà. So now again, so when you miss this one, it's ruined. Eh? So please don't eat too much eggnog when you're producing this one. So I do it the same way, fast. You put them down, and then with the clips, we make them together. We keep them together. And this go also again back into the fridge of 16 degrees until tomorrow, and then we can remove them easily from the mold without any issue. What I have done also separately with these eggs, so I have put them out of the mold, but to spray them with these colors, I just leave them in one mold, of course. So I don't put them one by one like here on this silicone sheet. It's just to show. But then you can also put tempered cocoa butter at 30 degrees at low pressure with a spray gun, and you can put some nice small points, I would say, some dots that really makes it like an egg of a bird. Okay. So the eggnog filling, which was then also, of course, on my praline bird nest, what I also show to you before. So the next thing, it's also very nice, but this is more like an idea. It's not really like a complex recipe. So it's the Easter bark egg. And basically what I have done, again, my mold is at 20 degrees. My colored cocoa butter at 30. I spray it. I wait 2 hours, and then I put tempered chocolates. And these molds is also an Easter egg, but with some facets. You see, so it really reflects the light in different angle, and it makes it also more shiny than it actually is. Okay. This one is with yellow cocoa butter, molded with the Sélection Blanc, the cacao trace one, and then here also it is pure with our Sélection Noir 55%. It's also nice and shiny. and I will fill this up with some inclusion, and then you can sell it even packed in a plastic cover, like a candy. And the children, when they receive it, they need to break it, and then it's like a bark, but a bark to break, a bark egg. And a bark in general, it is this, a bark.
There's another question that's come in from earlier. Can I ask where you get the clips that join the cocoa pod molds together, please?
I put those together. What was the question, Joe?
I'm not sure who it is that sent it, but can I ask where you get the clips that join the cocoa pod molds together, please?
Yeah. It's also at the Chocolate World. So, but you need to order them separately, because even when you have molds, like this, and half sphere, for example, a lot of them, they have just a tiny hole. You see here.
Yeah.
And that is where the clip needs to fit in, but it doesn't come automatically. You need to order the mold first, and then separately you also need to order these clips, these metal clips, and they fit precisely exactly in this tiny small hole to fit them together.
Okay.
But you need to order them separate.
Okay, I don't know if Steve knows if they can come from Brighton, where you said earlier. Not sure if he knows that.
Well, I guess when they sell these molds, they should have also access to, even maybe they are not available in the shop. Yeah. But of course, if they are a distributor of Chocolate World down in UK, yeah, they will be able to order them for you.
And you've got a comment, thank you, chef. That's come
welcome.
Back. There you
welcome.
go.
So here a bark. Normally it's a big chunk of chocolate where you put like inclusions on top. But then like today, I will make a bark egg where we basically put the inclusions inside the egg, and then the children can break it. It's fun. It's a bit like Kinder Surprise egg with a toy inside. But then here, of course, we have some candy. So I put some marshmallow. Voilà. Here you can choose. I just recommend some to use maybe also some more healthy snack, like a dry banana, dry pineapple, dry fruit, some nuts, for example. Then it's not only candy, but I leave that choice to you. So I put some dry banana, I put some candy pineapple, and then what I will do, I will melt a bit the edge of the white chocolate egg, and I put it on top of the dark one. We just wait a few minutes, and then you can demold them also from the mold. So my pot here is a bit warm. I just heat it up. You can also use a piece of marble that you put in the oven, for example, at 100 degrees centigrade. But you can also use like a big metal pot that you heat up, and then you can melt very easily and very flat also the edge of the white chocolate egg, which I will fit also on the dark one. So like this, just a little bit. You don't need to do it too much. You put it on the same, in the same angle, on the good place, and then the chocolate will set again, and then these eggs will stick together. So it's very nice. It's easy to do. It's a simple Easter egg, but when you pack it like a candy, people, the children will love it, and then they break it, and they will be surprised what is inside. Voilà.
So Steve has said that Vantage House have Chocolate World molds, and they should have the clips that you were just talking about.
Yeah. And even like when they don't have it available now in their shop, but they should, because it's Easter. And I think a lot of people use these clips right now, so they should have it, but when they are out of stock, I'm pretty sure they will be able to get them. So these are the bark eggs. So I made them like in here in a nice way to present them. And then what they need to do, so when they receive the eggs at their house, they receive them and then they just smash it. And then they find back all these nice things inside. And then they can start to fight when you have more than one child. I want that piece, I want that piece. Okay, so this is the bark egg. Okay, so an easy creative idea, which is very pleasant to receive. We have more questions, Joe, or it's okay? Joe, you're still there? Joe left the building, or maybe not, but I cannot hear her.
Michel, it's Lee. There's no open questions at the moment.
Okay. And so for the next idea, the next topic, I would like to show you how we make a nice chocolate sculpture. So I made here a few already in advance, and I call them the Eggstraems. Okay, so it's a small chocolate puppet, I would say. And what I really like now is to just keep the color of the amber chocolate and not touching too much everything with other colors. So we stay very natural. We only use the colors of the chocolate. What makes life also more easy, because we see a lot of sculpture today, which are really intense colors, and a chocolate bonbon like this, I think it's still okay. It's a very thin layer, but an Easter sculpture colored with a lot of colors, when your child eat it, or even they just touch it, their fingertips are really colored, and it's not so, I think, pleasant then for everybody. So what I have here, I use a technique. So I use my own thermoform machine, but what I do, I made my own molds. So I make one model of a feet, for example, which I cut out with a knife, just like this. And then I put some extra chocolate with a paper piping bag. I leave it to set, and then I put this into my thermoform box. It's not the best way, because normally they do it with a 3D printer, or they make a mold in plaster, for example. But when it's just for your own, it is good enough. It is not really bad, and it's an easy way. So you make one model in chocolate, you keep it very cold, you put this into the thermoform machine, and you're able to make feet. You're able to make ears, for example. It is really nice. So basically, what I'm using for this sculpture is like a half ball of 10 centimeters, which I have molded in our Selection Noir 55%, and I just melt the surface a little bit. Then it's really nice finishing. And then what I also have done, I have two Easter eggs, and you're 15 centimeter high. So also here on the recipe sheet, we have the size available. So with the Easter egg, it's 15 centimeter high, and the half ball that I'm having here is just 10 centimeters. And now I will glue also the teeth into the Easter egg with some chocolate. And Jeffrey, can you take some chocolate? Also, to make the molding for the Easter egg, you also see I have a mouth, like a hole, and you can cut it out afterwards, like now, but I do it already when it's still soft. So I did the molding, and then with my dough cutter, I simply cut it out into my mold. Okay, and then I'm also able to remove this like very easily. It comes out already with a hole, so it's more easy. So you don't need to heat up this dough cutter because you did it when the chocolate is still soft. So I have my half Easter egg. I also made some teeth with the same thermoform mold. So I make again one model. I make a thermoformation, and then all the time I can replicate it with the same molds. Okay. When you want to make more of these, of course you can always make it in plaster. So it's always more, I would say, long lasting. But yeah, I think it's an easy way, a good way, even to make something new. For example, later on you can always ask also a company to make your molds for yourself. But at least it is your creation, so it is very nice. So what I have done to make life also a bit more easy, so I put the shell like this. I just stick the teeth with some chocolate, and now I leave it to set also. To be a bit more fast, of course, I put some cool spray, but normally it's not necessary because they will not move. I have also my 2 feet, which I will put next to here. Then you can see it very clearly. And then the legs will be also 2 half parts. And it is like a big mushroom mold. It's also from Chocolate World, and it's the number 1291. Yeah, like this, 1291. Okay. And you will have this. Okay. So I will melt it also a little bit on my hot tray. I just put it on top, and like this, I make my feet. So I make a second one. Voila. This figure, when you have everything together, it is not that much work. It's really nice to do, and especially you use just the colors that you need, the color of the chocolate. So to put also now this half ball, what I do, I use for the same size a ladle. Okay. So when I make this warm, I can melt a bit the legs made out of the amber chocolate. Voila, like this. And I put it already like in the same angle that I also like the position of this one. Yeah. I maybe put a little bit extra chocolate because now I will do this very fast, and I don't want that it collapses in front of you. Voila, I put here a bit extra chocolate. Voila. Next, what I will also do, I'll put some cool spray. Then the top of the head, I would say, I will also melt it a little bit, and I put it on top of here. Voila. Like this. I put again some cool spray, but please, normally it's not necessary. Yeah? When you make a larger production, you can just leave it to set a few moments, and then you can continue. Then to put the Easter egg in the center, of course, I also put a little bit of chocolate. Voila, like this. And then I will also put the Easter egg. So the face So the body, the face, it's like one big part. Voilà. Okay. Like this. So for the arms, I use the same mold like the legs, but one size smaller. So I also melt a little bit the edge. For the eyes, I use basically 2/2 spheres, which in one I put first a dot of dark tempered chocolate, and then I mold it with white. So you put them also together. Okay, like this. And I will also stick them on top of the face with just a little bit of chocolate. So I just melt a little bit here, the edge, and then we stick it on top of the body. So for this, I use some cool spray, of course. Voilà. And this is a concept there. So I have created some more for you, but basically the base is always the same of the body. But then you can always add some extra items like yeah, a sunglass, for example, like a headset. It's also possible. So it's really a nice idea, and it's not so complex to make. It's a bit modern. It looks a bit like the combination of the funny bunnies. It's animating for children, the video. And you also maybe know the Oddbots. It's also very nice. So I put the arms now. And then I also put, of course, the ears. So for the ears, the same thing. I use a little bit a smaller one. I heat it up also. And then the ears, we also stick it on top with some cool spray, voilà, like this. We make sure it doesn't fall off like this. Voilà. And then what I also have it's a small dot, because her name is Marilyn, and a small dot reminds us of Marilyn Monroe. So we have an extravaganza, an extreme Easter egg named Marilyn, like this. Okay.
I love Marilyn.
Oh. Yeah, it's great, huh?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. She looks a bit crazy, but that's how she was. Huh?
Look, crazy's good. Crazy's absolutely fine. Steve has confirmed that Vantage House have confirmed that they have the molds and clips.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Long time no see. We should have a phone call. So we are a bit at the end that I was going to show you. Of course, I am not a baker, but I have colleagues who are baker, of course. And I also asked them to share with us a very good recipe to make soft buns with some chocolate grains inside. And that's what he did. Huh? So we make like a very nice brioche dough where we will also have some Puratos Softer Alpaca. It's also a clean label improver to make your brioche like very soft and melting. We also put some, I would say, some butter substitute, like mimetic incorporation. It replaces basically butter. It has the same mouth feeling, the same melting, the same texture and taste. It's a really good product. And to keep them fresh, we also have the Intense Freshness 5 that we add. But it's not only that, but we also have put the K10 inside of Belcolade, so the small chocolate grains. And to give it a flavor, we also have some clove and cinnamon powder. And we also have some classic orange. So it's a concentrated orange paste that we add. And it can also flavor your hot cross buns. So these are really delicious. I will eat one. Yeah, so sorry about that. But we might maybe send over some goods. So that's nice.
There's a lot of love coming in for Marilyn.
Ah, that's great. That's great.
So cute.
But, she's Marilyn is not alone. So that is Marilyn. I also have Mr. Wicked. He looks a bit crazy, more crazy than Marilyn.
Oh, he's a dude. I like him.
Yeah. And I also have TJ. And TJ, he likes to sing along with you, so please be my guest. And but you see, it's a nice idea, and you can give your own touch with this one. You just need an Easter egg of 15 centimeter high, a half ball of 10 centimeters, and that will make very easy to make like a very nice puppet. Even the legs, you can use Easter eggs, for example, but smaller one also for the arms. But the idea is very nice, and the children they love it.
Yeah.
So, and we can always show like creative, amazing things, and we do it. But you also need to think about the profit for the customer. It needs to be not too complex to replicate. Yeah, that's very important. What I also share with you in the recipe, and that's the last thing.
Sorry, can I just very quickly interrupt? There is going to be a live poll, which my colleague David is going to set to go live now. It'll be very, very quick. If people who are on this could respond to it, it will really help us with feedback on this demo, which I'm sure we'll all agree has been brilliant, and demos in the future. So sorry, Michel, to
no problem.
People were needing to get going, so perfect.
Yeah.
Carry on, Michel.
But the last recipe, it's also an idea. So it's a small dessert where the inside we have an orange marmalade, and then over it we have also a Vietnam chocolate mousse with some clove, and then below we also have like a nice crusty texture, a crumble, and there is also a sponge inside. But the recipe is also available that we send over, but it's also like a hot cross presented chocolate desserts. Voila. So this was about it, Joe, that I would like to show with all the customers who are watching. I hope you really enjoyed it. It's the first time, so I guess we might see each other again. But this is what we do. We like to share, we like to be creative, and there is no secret, I would say.
No, absolutely. There's a couple of things that have come in. Oh, hang on. Can you please confirm the name of the thermo mold maker you used?
Yeah, it's also from England. It's Mocktail. That's the name of the.
Mocktail?
Yeah, it's also from it's Team Mocktail for the thermoform machine. It's a small machine that we bought like 1 year ago, and it was coming from England, from London, and the name is Team, and then I think it's MAYKU. Mocktail.
Mocktail.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can find it back on Instagram. They are really nice, well presented on Instagram.
Over on the gram.
Yeah, it's Mocktail form box. You see?
I don't know. Can you make it a tiny bit bigger? Like expand it a little bit? Ah, perfect. Yeah. MAYKU form box. FORMBOX.
Yeah, and it's a cheap one if you compare with other equipment. But yeah, allez, it's to make small items. It's not to make I would say a cake of 20 centimeter diameter, like a bottle of beer. It fits, but that's about it, the size. Yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. A lot of people are sending in messages saying thank you, how much they enjoyed it. Steve Calver, please thank Michael. Michel, sorry.
No problem.
Please thank Michel very much from HBI. Yeah, really enjoyed this demo. Lots of thanks coming in there. So if people could do the poll that David's run, it's literally, I think it's a less than 10-second thing. And many thanks, Michel, for all the wonderful live demo today and all of the hard work that you've put in over the last few weeks. I know you've put an awful lot in. You and I have been talking lots. So it's been, from my point of view, and certainly from everything I'm seeing from comments, absolutely perfect. And I think you can see you're doing a bit of a display there of everything that's been made today.
That has been made, yeah.
Really do look fabulous. So let me just see, scroll through. Thank you very much from New College Durham. Thank you very much to all involved with bringing this. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic stuff. Oh, wait for this one. Better than TV.
That's
wow.
Great. We should start the show then. Okay.
Indeed. We'll call it the Michel and Joe show. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah, why not?
Steve, we've got, yes, many thanks from HBI. So big thumbs up from everybody. Thank you very much.
It is really my pleasure to give this for UK. I really enjoyed the country also for visiting and holidays. So we might be seeing us maybe live whenever the situation is over.
Oh yes,
it's really the pleasure was mine, and we will meet again. And if you have any question also, you can always find us back even on Instagram. You can find us, you can ask a question. Like I said, we are there for you. You buy our chocolates and we will help you. It's what the case is now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.